What if one small shift could change your entire year? Not by luck, not by force, but by mastering the quiet power of daily habits. The beginning of a new year isn't just a change on the calendar. It's a powerful opportunity, an invitation to reflect, to release what no longer serves you, and to step boldly into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. But here's the truth. Real transformation doesn't happen because of dramatic overhauls or quick fix resolutions that fade by February. It's not about the fireworks of a single moment. It's about the slow burn of daily discipline. True change is built through habits, the small, repeated actions you choose each day that, over time, shape your future in ways you can't even predict yet. The Stoics understood this deeply. Long before the rise of modern self-help books and productivity gurus, ancient philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca were already practicing the art of meaningful, deliberate living. To them, a meaningful life wasn't created by grand gestures or rare moments of brilliance. It was grounded in simple, consistent principles, habits that anchor you, guide you, and help you grow into your highest potential. In this episode, we're going to walk through 10 Stoic habits that can help you completely reinvent yourself, not just in 2025, but for the long run. These habits aren't abstract ideas. They're practical, tangible, and designed to meet you exactly where you are. Whether you're battling stress, seeking more purpose, or just looking to gain more clarity in a noisy, chaotic world, these tools will help, because personal reinvention doesn't happen in a single breakthrough. It's a process. And that process begins with the habits you choose, starting now. Start small to achieve big. When you think about changing your life, what image comes to mind? A massive leap? A complete lifestyle overhaul? A sudden spark that shifts everything overnight? That's the fantasy we've all been sold, but the Stoics knew better. They believe that real, lasting change happens through small, deliberate steps taken consistently over time. No drama, no rush, just steady, purposeful effort. Marcus Aurelius said it best: "You must build up life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible." It's a gentle but profound reminder that progress doesn't require perfection. It just requires persistence. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't expect it to become a tall tree tomorrow, but you water it daily. You make sure it gets sunlight, and over time, something incredible begins to grow. The same is true for your habits. Let's say you want to get healthier. Don't overhaul your entire diet and commit to 2-hour gym sessions overnight. That kind of pressure usually leads to burnout. Instead, start small. Walk for just 10 minutes a day. That's it. It's easy, it's manageable, and most importantly, it's sustainable. That one habit builds momentum. Soon your 10-minute walk turns into 20, then 30. You start craving healthier food. You sleep better. You feel more energized. It grows naturally. Want to grow intellectually? Start by reading just one page a day. It may not sound impressive, but over a year, that's 365 pages, a full book. And more than that, it's a new identity forming. Someone who reads, someone who learns. Breaking your goals into small steps does something powerful. It removes fear. Often we delay action not because we're lazy, but because the final goal feels too big, too distant. Writing a novel sounds impossible until you commit to writing just 100 words a day. That's about a paragraph. Do that for 3 months and you'll have over 9,000 words. That's a foundation built from consistency, not intensity. The Stoics remind us that greatness is not a moment, it's a process. And it begins with the small steps you choose today. The power of small wins and the battle within. In the last section, we explored how lasting transformation doesn't come from giant leaps, but from small, consistent steps, like planting seeds of purpose each day. Now let's build on that foundation by embracing a mindset the Stoics held dear: progress over perfection. The Stoics never demanded flawlessness. They knew that life was messy, unpredictable, and that true growth meant simply moving forward, no matter how small the stride. Seneca captured this beautifully when he said, "Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life." These words are more than poetic. They're profoundly practical. They encourage us to treat each day as its own opportunity for renewal. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment or the perfect version of yourself. Start today. Start where you are and honor every little win along the way. To bring this mindset to life, try something simple. Choose one small action today that aligns with a larger goal you care about. Just one. Write it down, commit to it, and follow through. Whether it's drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning, taking 5 minutes to meditate, or jotting down a single thought in your journal, the size of the action is irrelevant. What matters is the act of showing up. Think of these actions like drops of water filling a jar. At first, the change is barely noticeable, but over time, those drops gather, they build, they overflow. That's what habits do when they're rooted in intention. So as you continue your journey to reinvent yourself this year, remember, you don't need to change everything at once. You just need to take one meaningful step today. That's how momentum is born. That's how transformation takes root. Master your anxiety before it masters you. Anxiety, an invisible storm that brews in the mind, often without warning. It feeds on uncertainties, what-if scenarios, and imagined disasters that haven't even occurred. And for many of us, it's not the actual events that cause us the most distress. It's the endless mental rehearsals of what might go wrong. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology gave it a name. Epictetus once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." In other words, it's not the external situation, but our interpretation of it that creates suffering. The key to mastering anxiety lies in exactly that: changing your perspective and regaining command over your inner voice. Anxiety tends to grow when we dwell on what's beyond our control, how others see us, what might happen in the future, or how things could go wrong. But when you bring your focus back to what you can control, your mindset, your choices, your actions, you take the wind out of anxiety's sails. It's not about eliminating uncertainty. It's about learning to navigate it with calm, clarity, and intention. Let's say you're preparing for an important presentation at work. Suddenly, your mind starts spiraling. What if I forget what to say? What if they think I'm not good enough? Sound familiar? This kind of thinking pulls you into an imaginary world filled with fear. But what if, instead of getting lost in those thoughts, you paused and asked, "What can I do right now?" Maybe it's rehearsing your opening sentence. Maybe it's taking 5 minutes to breathe deeply and review your notes. That small shift from worry to action changes everything. This is where mindfulness becomes a powerful ally. Marcus Aurelius echoed this when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So the next time anxiety rises, ground yourself in the present. Feel your feet on the floor. Take a slow breath. Bring your awareness to what's real and manageable in this moment, not the imagined chaos of tomorrow. Here's a simple exercise that can help. Write down what's making you anxious. Then, next to each fear, write down one small thing you can do about it. This act of naming and reframing turns emotional fog into focused action. It trains your mind to move from helplessness to problem solving. Let's take a practical example. A student preparing for an important exam feels paralyzed by thoughts like, "What if I fail? What if I forget everything?" Instead of spiraling, They choose to focus on what they can control, creating a study schedule, reviewing the most critical topics, practicing relaxation techniques to stay calm. These steps don't just prepare them for the exam, they quiet the storm before it begins. And finally, remember this timeless insight from Seneca. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. How often have you dreaded a conversation, an event, or a challenge, only to find that it wasn't nearly as bad as you feared? Anxiety magnifies shadows. Stoic wisdom shines light. Don't silence anxiety, understand it, then lead it. Previously, we explored how anxiety often distorts reality and how shifting our focus to what we can control can quiet the storm. But there's one more crucial step in mastering anxiety: challenging its truth. Because anxiety thrives not on facts, but on assumptions. Ask yourself, is this fear grounded in evidence, or am I predicting disaster without real reason? Most of the time, our minds run ahead of reality. We imagine the worst, obsess over the what-ifs, and convince ourselves we're in danger when we're not. But when we pause and examine the fear logically, we often realize it's built more on possibility than probability. For example, if you're feeling anxious about an upcoming conversation, ask, what real evidence do I have that it will go badly? You might find there isn't any. The discomfort you feel is just your mind projecting possible outcomes, not guaranteed ones. And this shift from fear to rational reflection is powerful. Another overlooked truth: anxiety isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's a signal, a guide. It may be highlighting something you need to prepare for, reflect on, or improve. Take the example of starting a new job. That nervous energy you feel, it could be urging you to research the company more deeply, practice your skills, or set clear expectations. Instead of resisting anxiety, listen to what it's pointing toward. Think of anxiety like an ocean wave. If you try to fight it, it crashes down on you. But if you ride with it, acknowledge it, adapt to it, you move with more balance and flow. You become responsive, not reactive. So the next time anxiety knocks on your door, don't let it in blindly, and don't slam it shut either. Instead, pause, breathe, and remind yourself, this feeling doesn't control me. I choose how I respond. By making that choice, you reclaim your peace. You return to center, and you gain the emotional strength to move forward no matter what life throws your way. Design a routine that works for you. Life is unpredictable. There will always be chaos, external demands, unexpected problems, emotional turbulence. But in the middle of all that noise, a thoughtfully crafted routine acts like an anchor. It grounds you, it centers you, and it gives shape to your day, even when the world feels out of control. The Stoics understood this deeply. To them, structure wasn't about control, it was about clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." And that process of being starts with how you design your days. A routine isn't about squeezing every second of your schedule or being overly rigid. It's about creating a personal rhythm, one that aligns with your energy, your values, and your long-term vision. Imagine your life like a ship at sea. Without a clear route and steady hands at the wheel, you're at the mercy of waves, emails, distractions, other people's priorities. But with a routine, you're not drifting. You're navigating. You're choosing your direction. Let's consider someone who's constantly overwhelmed by work. Without a routine, they're reactive, bouncing from task to task, replying to every message as it comes, and feeling constantly behind. But when that same person starts blocking time for deep focus, scheduling short breaks, and planning their top 3 priorities for the day, suddenly they're not drowning. They're sailing, because a routine isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. To create a routine that works, begin by identifying your non-negotiables. What habits support your goals and reflect your values? For some people, it might be 20 minutes of exercise before breakfast. For others, it might be journaling, quiet reading, or even a heartfelt conversation with family. Build your day around these core anchors, not someone else's version of productivity. The Stoics also emphasize starting the day with intention. Marcus Aurelius once reflected, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Simple but profound. Consider starting your day with a short moment of reflection. Ask yourself, what is my purpose today? What can I do today to live in alignment with my values? This small habit can set a meaningful tone for the hours ahead, giving you direction before distractions even have a chance to pull you off course. Your routine should also be in sync with your natural energy cycles. Are you most alert in the morning, or does your focus sharpen in the evening? Notice your patterns, then schedule your most important work accordingly. By working with your energy, not against it, you reduce friction and increase flow. Structure creates freedom, but so does flexibility. Previously, we talked about how a thoughtful routine can help you stay grounded and intentional. But here's the truth that even the Stoics understood. Life is unpredictable. So how do you stay consistent without becoming rigid? The key lies in balance. While your most productive hours should be reserved for your highest priority tasks, it's wise to save lower effort activities like checking emails, organizing your space, or running errands for when your energy dips. This strategic approach ensures you're not wasting your peak mental clarity on tasks that don't require it. But beyond time blocks and task lists, a truly effective routine also requires flexibility. Why? Because no matter how well we plan, life will throw curveballs. There will be days when things don't go as expected, appointments get delayed, a child gets sick, or you simply wake up feeling off. And in those moments, a rigid schedule becomes a trap instead of a tool. Build buffer time into your routine. Leave space for the unexpected. And most importantly, allow yourself to adapt without guilt. Let's say your morning workout gets interrupted by a phone call or a sudden obligation. Instead of skipping it entirely or beating yourself up, look for another slot during the day to fit it in. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be consistent over time. Here's one practical habit to help you design a more intentional routine starting today. At the end of each day, take just 5 minutes to plan the next. Write down your top 3 priorities and block out time for them in your schedule. This simple ritual helps you wake up with clarity, direction, and purpose. It reduces decision fatigue and gives you a stronger sense of control, especially when the world around you feels uncertain. Think of your routine like a garden. The planting beds and pathways give it structure. But within that structure, growth and beauty have space to flourish. Each habit you nurture is like a seed. With time, care, and repetition, it blooms into something meaningful. So when distractions pull at you or life feels overwhelming, return to your routine. It's not a prison, it's a sanctuary. It reminds you of what matters and offers the stability to move forward with intention. The Stoics believe that discipline is the path to freedom, and a well-crafted, flexible routine is one of the most powerful ways to embody that belief. So ask yourself, how can I shape my days to reflect my deepest values and goals? Then start small, stay consistent, be willing to adjust. Because a great routine doesn't confine you. It frees you to live with more balance, purpose, and peace. Break bad habits. Reclaim your freedom. If good habits build your future, bad habits quietly sabotage it. They don't usually arrive with flashing red lights. Instead, they sneak in, disguised as innocent routines. checking your phone the moment you wake up, procrastinating just a little longer, stress eating after a long day. Over time, these habits pile up, silently holding you back from becoming the person you want to be. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from self-mastery, and breaking free from harmful habits is a necessary part of that journey. Seneca put it simply, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That means every unchecked habit becomes a chain, a loop, a quiet form of bondage that dictates your actions more than your conscious will. But here's the good news. Breaking bad habits isn't just about harsh discipline. It's about reclaiming control over your daily choices, your energy, your life. The first step, awareness. Most of our bad habits run on autopilot. We scroll, snack, delay, and react without even noticing. So pause. Ask yourself, what habits are holding me back? How are they affecting my goals, health, or peace of mind? Naming the habit is the first step to breaking its grip. Let's explore a common example. Someone who finds themselves spending hours mindlessly scrolling through social media only to feel drained and dissatisfied afterward. Instead of blaming themselves or simply trying to willpower their way out, they step back and investigate. Why am I doing this? Is it boredom, loneliness, a need for distraction? Once they understand the trigger, they can begin to replace the habit with something more intentional. Maybe it's calling a friend. Maybe it's picking up a book. Maybe it's going for a short walk. Breaking a habit doesn't require sudden, cold turkey elimination. In fact, trying to stop something abruptly often leads to failure and frustration. Real change comes from replacing the old loop with something more aligned with your values. The Stoics weren't just wise, they were practical. They knew that lasting change comes not from punishing yourself, but from observing yourself, honestly and patiently, and making choices that serve your highest self. Replacing bad habits begins with small, intentional shifts. Previously, we explored how breaking bad habits begins with awareness, recognizing what holds you back, and choosing to respond with conscious action. But awareness alone isn't enough. The Stoics believed that we must also redirect our energy towards something more constructive and aligned with our values. Let's say you're trying to overcome procrastination. Instead of saying, "I have to finish this whole project," which can feel overwhelming, shift your focus to something manageable. "I'll just work on it for 10 minutes. This tiny change lowers the barrier to starting. That 10 minutes might not seem like much, but it gets you moving. It builds momentum, and often, once you start, you keep going. It's a simple technique, yet it's incredibly effective. Another vital strategy for breaking bad habits: change your environment. Your surroundings influence your behavior more than you realize. If you're trying to eat healthier, don't just rely on willpower. Take proactive steps. Clear out junk food, stock your kitchen with nourishing options, and make healthy snacks easy to reach. If you're trying to stop binge-watching shows late into the night, set a timer on your devices or remove the TV from your bedroom altogether. These small environmental shifts reduce friction. They make it easier to follow through and harder to fall into old patterns. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of self-forgiveness. Breaking a habit isn't a straight line. It's a process. Setbacks are normal. You will slip up, but what matters most is how you respond when you fall. Marcus Aurelius put it wisely, "When you stumble, get back up." Don't waste energy beating yourself up. Instead of spiraling into guilt or frustration, acknowledge the slip and return to your path. Progress is never lost when you choose to keep going. Let's look at another scenario. Imagine someone who struggles with negative self-talk. Every mistake triggers an internal voice that says, "You're not good enough." To break that pattern, they begin practicing self-compassion. Every time the critic appears, they pause and replace that thought with a kind, affirming 1. Mistakes are part of learning. I'm improving every day. At first it feels unfamiliar, even forced. But over time, this new habit begins to take root. The inner dialogue softens, confidence grows, and the old voice loses its power. Here's a practical exercise to help you break a habit that's holding you back. 1. Identify the habit you want to change. 2. Write down the trigger, what causes it. 3. Describe the behavior itself and its consequences. 4. Then brainstorm a replacement habit that serves you better. 5. Create a simple plan to implement the new habit when the trigger appears. For example, trigger, feeling stressed. Bad habit, eating junk food. Replacement habit, taking a walk or drinking a glass of water. Repetition is key. The more you practice the new behavior, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, it starts to override the old habit, making the new response your default. Think of breaking bad habits like clearing weeds from a garden. In the beginning, it's tiring, digging them up one by one. But as you plant and nurture healthier behaviors, those weeds lose ground. Your inner garden starts to flourish with strength, clarity, and potential. And when you catch yourself slipping, pause and remind yourself, this habit doesn't define me. I have the power to change. Each small victory is a reclaimed moment of freedom, a quiet but powerful step towards self-mastery. Habit 5. Make time for what truly matters. In today's fast-paced, noisy world, it's all too easy to get swept up in the chaos, pulled in every direction by deadlines, notifications, endless to-dos. The result? We feel overwhelmed, scattered, and unsure if our time is truly being spent on things that bring meaning or joy. The Stoics believe that time is one of our most precious and limited resources, and the way we use it reflects how we live. Seneca said it best, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." This truth invites us to pause, to look honestly at our days and ask, am I spending my time in ways that align with my values? Or am I letting distractions and trivial tasks consume what matters most? Making time for what truly matters starts with awareness. Time is your most valuable currency. Spend it with purpose. In the last section, we were reminded that it's not about having more time, but about using the time we do have with clarity and intention. Now let's take that principle one step further by looking at how much of our time is unknowingly lost to things that don't serve us. Let's start with something familiar. Think about the hours you've spent mindlessly scrolling through your phone, watching short videos, jumping between notifications, or getting lost in content that adds little to your life. These moments might feel harmless, even relaxing, and sometimes they are. But over time, they quietly steal away the hours you could have used for something deeper, something that truly fills you. The Stoics never said leisure was bad. What they warned against was wasting time unconsciously, letting precious hours slip away without alignment to your values or purpose. To start reclaiming your time, begin by defining your true priorities. Ask yourself, what brings me the most fulfillment in life? It could be strengthening your relationships, pursuing a personal passion, or dedicating time to your growth and well-being. Write them down. These priorities become your compass, your guide for how you spend your time, especially when distractions try to pull you off course. The next step, remove the clutter. This doesn't mean you need to eliminate all fun or relaxation. In fact, rest is essential. But be mindful. Ask yourself, how much time am I giving to activities that don't serve my deeper goals? If connection is important to you, maybe that means turning off your phone notifications during dinner. If friendship matters, perhaps you schedule a weekly video call with someone you care about. These small shifts open up space for what matters most. Marcus Aurelius offered a sobering yet motivating reminder. You could leave life right now, Let that determine what you do and say and think. This isn't meant to cause fear, but to help us feel the urgency of now. Life is short. Every moment we're given is a chance to live with presence and meaning. Ask yourself, if today were my last, would I be proud of how I spent it? Let this question shape your days, not to create pressure, but to keep you aligned. Here's a practical way to bring awareness to your time. Try doing a time audit. For one full week, track how you spend your hours. Work, leisure, chores, phone usage, everything. At the end of the week, review it honestly. Where does your time align with your priorities? Where is it being drained by distractions? This insight gives you the power to reshape your schedule, to intentionally carve out more time for what truly matters. Let's look at an example. Someone dreams of writing a book but always claims, "I just don't have time." After tracking their week, they discover they're spending nearly 2 hours each night watching TV. By cutting that time in half, they create a golden hour each evening to write. And just like that, their dream begins turning into a reality. Not through having more time, but through choosing differently. The Stoics also emphasize something else. It's not just how much time you give to meaningful things, it's the quality of your presence during that time. If you're with family, are you really there, or are your thoughts still buried in work emails? If you're working on a goal, are you fully immersed, or are you juggling 5 tabs and 3 tasks? Your time is like a financial budget. You wouldn't spend your money recklessly on things that offer no value. So why treat your hours that way? By becoming more intentional, each moment becomes an investment in a well-lived life. The next time you find yourself saying, "Where did the day go?" Pause, take a breath, and remind yourself, my time is precious. Am I using it for what truly matters? With every conscious decision, you shape a life of purpose, fulfillment, and steady progress, one intentional moment at a time. Habit 6, take on challenges that shape you. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It lives in the stretch, the discomfort, the unfamiliar. It's in the moments when you rise to meet a challenge, not because it's easy, but because deep down, you know it will shape you into something stronger. When you use your time, well, you create space for growth. In the last section, we saw how aligning your time with your values leads to a more purposeful life. But using time wisely isn't just about focus. It's also about courage. Because often, the things that matter most require us to step into discomfort. And that's exactly where growth begins. The Stoics believed that life's hardships were not obstacles to happiness, but pathways to transformation. When something pushes you to your limits, it doesn't arrive to defeat you. It arrives to reveal you. Epictetus put it simply, yet powerfully. Difficulties are things that show a person what they are. Challenges test us, not to break us, but to expose our hidden strength. They demand that we adapt, stretch, and rise. Without them, we stagnate. We live safe but small. We never truly meet the version of ourselves that is capable of more. Think back to a time when you faced something difficult. Maybe it was a high-stakes project at work, a tough personal conversation, or even a physical challenge, like running your first marathon. At first, it probably felt overwhelming. You may have doubted whether you could do it, but you leaned in. You didn't run from it, you ran through it. And on the other side, you weren't just finished, you were transformed. That's the power of embracing challenge. It builds you while you do it. Now, this doesn't mean seeking out pain for the sake of it. The Stoics weren't advocates of suffering for suffering's sake. Instead, they taught that we should choose growth over comfort, even when it's uncomfortable. Take public speaking, for example. If it terrifies you, volunteering to give a presentation might feel like stepping into fire. But through preparation and practice, you begin to tame the fear. And in the process, you gain a powerful skill that can open new doors in your life and career. The key is to start with challenges that are manageable yet meaningful. You don't have to jump into the deep end. Start small. If you want to improve your fitness, begin with a 15-minute walk, not a full hour of intense training. If you want to grow at work, offer to lead part of a meeting before taking on an entire project. Each small challenge you conquer lays the groundwork for bigger victories ahead. Marcus Aurelius gave us this profound Stoic reminder: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every time you overcome something hard, you gain strength, confidence, and clarity. It's like lifting weights. Each repetition builds resilience, preparing you to handle more in the future. Here's a practical exercise to help you start. Write down one challenge you've been avoiding, something that feels uncomfortable or difficult. Break it down into small, actionable steps. For example, challenge: run a 5K steps. Start by jogging for 5 minutes each day. Then gradually increase your time and distance. Create a simple training schedule and follow it consistently. By breaking a challenge into parts, it becomes less intimidating and more doable. Another effective approach: reframe the challenge. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" This simple mental shift changes everything. It turns setbacks into stepping stones. Let's say someone loses a job. It's painful, yes. But instead of seeing it as the end, they might ask, "Is this a chance to finally pursue work that feels more aligned with who I am?" Suddenly, the challenge becomes an invitation. Here's another real-life example. Someone who's always been shy dreams of making deeper connections with people. Their challenge? Start conversations with strangers. At first, it feels awkward, maybe even terrifying. But with each small attempt, their confidence grows, their social skills sharpen, and one day what once felt like a mountain becomes second nature. That's how growth works. You stretch, you struggle, you overcome, and in the process, you become someone you never thought you could be. Challenges shape you, one step, one struggle at a time. In the previous section, we saw how embracing challenges doesn't just help us achieve goals, it reshapes who we are. The more we step into discomfort, the more strength we uncover within ourselves. Now let's explore what happens when we continue showing up, even when it's hard. The Stoics reminded us that challenges are where resilience is born. Seneca once said, "The bravest sight in the world is to see a great man struggling against adversity." It's not in comfort, but in resistance that our character is forged. When you face a challenge and rise above it, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your fears, doubts, or limitations. That moment of triumph becomes a wellspring of confidence, fuel that drives you forward into even greater challenges with a steadier heart. Picture it like climbing a mountain. Each step is steep and progress feels slow. Your legs ache, your breath shortens. But the higher you go, the clearer the view becomes. The air is lighter, the silence deeper. And with each milestone, your sense of accomplishment grows. The challenge then is not just the climb, it's the transformation you undergo along the way. So the next time life tests you, don't back down. Pause, breathe, and remind yourself, this is my opportunity to grow. Lean into the discomfort. Take it one small step at a time, and watch as every struggle refines you into someone stronger, more capable, and more resilient. Because the trials you face today are shaping the person you'll become tomorrow. Surround yourself with people who elevate you. Once you've committed to personal growth and embraced discomfort, the next essential step is to choose your environment wisely. Because no matter how strong your willpower is, the people around you influence your mindset, motivation, and momentum. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believe that your character is shaped by your company. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." This is more than just friendship advice. It's a blueprint for intentional living. Great relationships are not one-sided. They're mutual. They uplift. They challenge. They offer support and honest feedback. In short, they help you become who you're striving to be. Take a moment to reflect. Are the people around you helping you grow or holding you back? This doesn't mean you should cut people off at the first sign of negativity, but it does mean being more intentional about where your energy flows. Think about the difference between these two types of friends. One who complains constantly without ever seeking solutions. One who listens, then encourages you to take action toward your goals. Which one leaves you drained? Which one fills your cup? Imagine an athlete preparing for a marathon. If they train alongside others who share their discipline and drive, they're more likely to stay motivated. Their shared focus becomes contagious. But if they're surrounded by people who mock their efforts or live passively, sticking to the plan becomes an uphill battle. Your environment shapes your habits. Choose it with care. Building a circle of uplifting people doesn't mean you only seek out those who are far ahead of you. Sometimes the most meaningful connections come from those walking the same path, facing the same struggles, celebrating the same wins. Whether it's a colleague pursuing similar professional goals or a friend focused on self-improvement, mutual support creates accountability and momentum. To cultivate these kinds of relationships, be proactive. Seek out communities where growth is the norm, not the exception. For instance, join a book club focused on personal development. Attend events or workshops aligned with your goals. Participate in online groups or forums where meaningful conversations happen. Shared values and aspirations are the foundation for deep, lasting connection. And remember, the Stoics didn't just emphasize what you receive from others. They also stressed what you give. Seneca advised, "Be helpful to others in your time of abundance, for in their time of need, you may find your own opportunity to learn." Surrounding yourself with inspiring people isn't about taking, it's also about contributing. Encourage those around you. Celebrate their growth. Offer your perspective. Show up for them. In doing so, you not only build a stronger community, you become someone who elevates others as much as they elevate you. The people around you shape the person you're becoming. In the previous section, we explored how choosing the right people can elevate your mindset, energy, and momentum. Now let's take that wisdom one step further by actively evaluating the relationships in your life and adjusting your circle with intention. A powerful support network isn't built by chance. It's cultivated with trust, respect, and shared progress at its core. Here's a practical exercise to help you reflect on your current relationships. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Who inspires and motivates me to be better? 2. Who challenges me constructively, pushing me beyond my comfort zone? 3. Who drains my energy or consistently distracts me from my goals? Be honest with your answers. This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. Once you've identified the people who uplift and challenge you in healthy ways, make it a priority to nurture those connections. Spend more time with them. Let them know how much they mean to your journey. As for relationships that feel draining or toxic, consider setting boundaries or redirecting your energy toward more meaningful interactions. This doesn't mean cutting people off harshly, but it does mean choosing your growth over guilt. Let's bring this into a real-world example. Imagine someone working hard to start their own business. If they're surrounded by friends who support their ambition, offer feedback, and celebrate every small win, they feel seen, capable, and empowered. Their journey becomes more fulfilling, and their confidence grows. But if they spend time with people who doubt their vision, dismiss their dreams, or discourage risk-taking, staying motivated becomes an uphill battle. Your circle is like the soil that surrounds a plant. Rich, nourishing soil helps you grow. Toxic or depleted soil stunts your development. But unlike a plant, you're not rooted in one place. You have the power to choose and cultivate the environment that supports your growth best. And don't forget, you are part of someone else's circle too. Your presence matters. Your words carry weight. So be the person who uplifts, encourages, and supports others. Be the friend who reminds someone of their potential when they forget. Be the one who celebrates their progress and walks with them through the hard parts. Your energy can create a ripple effect, one that empowers everyone around you to rise higher. So as you move forward, pause and reflect. Who in my life helps me rise? Who challenges me to be better? And how can I show up for them in return? Because when you surround yourself with people who elevate you, and you do the same for them, you create a shared space of inspiration, accountability, and authentic growth. And in that space, you'll go farther together than you ever could alone. Embrace change as a catalyst for growth. Once your foundation is supported by the right people, the next test is one that every human must face: change. Change is one of life's few guarantees, and yet it's often met with resistance, fear, or confusion. The Stoics, however, taught us that resisting change is futile. Instead, they urge us to embrace it, to see change not as an ending, but as the very force that propels transformation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accept the nature of the universe with love." This reminder invites us to stop fighting the natural flow of life and to start trusting it. Everything changes, seasons shift, relationships evolve, and circumstances transform. And we too are meant to grow and adapt alongside it. The key is to approach change with a new lens, not as a threat, but as an opportunity. Imagine losing a job or going through a painful breakup. In the moment, it feels like the world is collapsing, but time and reflection often reveal a different truth. That loss may lead to a job more aligned with your true calling. That heartbreak may give you the space to rediscover yourself or pursue passions you'd long neglected. Change is uncomfortable, yes, but it also clears the way for something more authentic. To truly embrace change, we must begin by shifting the question from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What can I learn from this?" Every change, no matter how painful, carries within it a lesson, a redirection, or a hidden gift. For instance, a major life transition, like moving to a new city, might feel isolating at first, but it may also lead to new friendships, fresh perspectives, and personal breakthroughs you never expected. The Stoics also emphasize the value of flexibility in the face of change. Epictetus said, "The flourishing life cannot be achieved until we moderate our desires and see how things are, rather than how we wish them to be." This wisdom teaches us to stop clinging to how things used to be or how we wish they were, and instead to meet life as it is. When you stop resisting reality, you begin to move with it. You bend instead of breaking. You adapt. You evolve. You grow. When you stop resisting change, you start growing. Previously, we uncovered a powerful Stoic truth. Change is not your enemy. It's your invitation. By embracing change instead of fearing it, you unlock the doors to growth, possibility, and transformation. Now let's explore how you can actively work with change to shape the future you truly want. Here's a practical exercise you can try right now. Think of a recent change in your life, big or small. Maybe it was a job shift, a move, an unexpected event, or even a shift in mindset. Now write down 2 things. 3 ways this change has challenged you. 3 opportunities it has created. For example, Challenge. Moving to a new city feels lonely and unfamiliar. Opportunities. Meeting new people, discovering a new culture, and developing independence by stepping out of your comfort zone. This simple exercise reframes your perspective. It helps you shift your focus from what you've lost to what you might gain. Let's consider a relatable scenario. Imagine someone whose company goes through a major restructuring. Suddenly, they're placed in an unfamiliar role with new responsibilities. It's easy to feel resentment or cling to the comfort of the previous job. But if they choose to embrace the change instead, they open the door to learning new skills, expanding their abilities, and possibly even finding a new passion. Growth doesn't come from clinging to the past. It comes from leaning into what's next. Another way to navigate change is to focus on what you can control. You can't prevent unexpected shifts in life, but you can choose how to respond. That choice gives you power. Let's say a project at work suddenly takes a new direction. Instead of spending energy lamenting how things change, choose to adapt. Ask, how can I make this work? What's my next best move? The Stoics also reminded us of a deeper truth. Life is impermanent. Seneca said, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. This isn't a sad thought. It's a liberating one. It teaches us to see endings not as failures or losses, but as natural transitions, as stepping stones to something new. Think of change like a river. You can't stop its current. You can try to fight it, but eventually you'll be exhausted. Or you can learn to float with it. Trust it. Let it carry you to new shores you couldn't see from where you started. So the next time change enters your life, pause, take a breath, and remind yourself, this is not the end. It's a new beginning. By embracing change as a catalyst for growth, you open yourself to possibilities you may never have considered. You allow life to shape you, not into someone fearful of uncertainty, but into someone ready for evolution. Learn the power of saying no. As we embrace change and pursue meaningful growth, another essential habit rises to the surface: the ability to say no. We live in a world overflowing with demands, distractions, and opportunities. Everyone wants a piece of your time, but the Stoics taught a crucial truth: your energy is limited and your time is sacred. If you say yes to everything, you risk losing what matters most. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. What does that mean in today's world? It means you don't have to say yes to every invitation, every task, every expectation. You don't need to prove yourself to everyone. In fact, by saying no to things that don't align with your values, you're saying yes to a more focused, intentional life. Picture this. You're already managing several responsibilities at work. Suddenly, a colleague asks if you can take on another project. You want to be helpful, but deep down, you know it would stretch you too thin. Instead of automatically agreeing, pause. Ask yourself, does this align with my priorities and current capacity? If the answer is no, then saying no isn't selfish. It's smart. It protects your time, your mental clarity, and your ability to perform well in the areas that matter most. Saying no doesn't mean rejecting people or opportunities out of coldness. It means respecting your own boundaries and directing your energy where it's most valuable. Let's say a friend invites you to a social event after a long, exhausting week. You're physically and emotionally drained. You could say yes out of guilt or fear of disappointing them, or you could say, I really appreciate the invite, but I need to rest tonight. That's not selfish. That's self-awareness. Because when you honor your needs, you're more likely to show up fully present and energized the next time around. Learning to say no with clarity and grace allows you to live in alignment with your values. It gives you space to grow, room to breathe, and time to focus on what truly enriches your life. So the next time you feel pressured to say yes, pause and ask, is this truly serving me or stretching me too thin? Because every no you say to the wrong thing creates space for the right thing to enter. Saying no isn't rejection, it's redirection toward what matters most. In the last section, we learned that saying no isn't selfish. It's an act of clarity, a way to honor your energy and direct your time where it truly matters. Now let's take a deeper look at how this habit connects to one of the Stoics' core teachings. Control what you can and let go of the rest. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Saying no is one way of exercising that power. It's how you stop being pulled along by every request, invitation, or expectation, and instead take ownership of your time and your choices. Of course, this doesn't mean being cold or dismissive. It means learning to communicate clearly and respectfully. For example, instead of just saying, "I can't," you might say, "I'd love to help, but I'm currently focused on other priorities." This kind of response shows respect for the other person while also setting healthy boundaries for yourself. And here's the beauty of it. Over time, saying no becomes more natural. It stops feeling like conflict and starts feeling like self-respect. Your relationships improve too because they're built on mutual understanding, not silent resentment. Here's a practical reflection to build this habit. Write down 3 things you've said yes to recently that didn't align with your goals or values. Ask yourself, why did I say yes? Was it guilt, fear of disappointing someone, or just habit? Then imagine how you could have politely declined instead. This simple exercise helps you recognize patterns and build your confidence in protecting your time going forward. Let's look at a relatable example. Imagine a student struggling to juggle school, clubs, and social events. A friend invites them out the night before a major exam. Saying yes might feel like staying connected, but deep down they know it would cost them their focus. So they respectfully say no. They choose rest and study instead. That one no becomes a quiet win, a step toward academic success and peace of mind. But saying no isn't just about external distractions. It also applies to the internal ones, like procrastination, overthinking, and self-doubt. Each time you say no to the voice that tells you to delay or give up, you reclaim your focus. You realign your actions with your values. Think of it like pruning a tree. By trimming unnecessary branches, the tree grows stronger, healthier, and more vibrant. In the same way, by saying no to the things that don't serve your purpose, you make room for growth that truly matters. So the next time you feel overwhelmed or pulled in too many directions, pause and ask yourself, is this worth my time and energy? Does it align with the life I want to build? If the answer is no, give yourself permission to decline. Because saying no is not rejection, it's redirection. It's your way of choosing a life lived on purpose. Bounce back stronger. Every time, even when you say no, protect your boundaries and stay aligned, life will still knock you down. That's not a flaw in the system. That's part of the journey. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't see setbacks as failures. They saw them as fuel, chances to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, obstacles don't block the path. They become the path. Each time life throws a challenge your way, you face a choice. Let it define you and shrink you, or let it refine you and build you. Imagine an entrepreneur launching their first business. They work hard, invest time and energy, and the business doesn't succeed. The failure stings. But instead of giving up, they step back and assess, was the product right for the audience? Did the marketing miss the mark? What could be done differently? They gather insights, they learn, and when they try again, they're better equipped and far more resilient. That's the Stoic mindset in action. Failures are intense. They're beginnings in disguise. Many of the world's most successful people will tell you, I succeeded because I failed, and learned from it. Every setback is a setup for a stronger comeback. In the previous section, we saw that resilience isn't just about enduring hardship. It's about transforming it. The Stoics taught us that our response to failure matters far more than the failure itself. Now let's explore how to cultivate that strength so you can rise every time life knocks you down. Resilience doesn't mean avoiding setbacks. It means building the strength to stand back up again and again. Think of it like building a muscle. Each challenge you face acts like resistance training for the mind. The more you practice lifting emotional weight, the stronger you become. What seemed unbearable before becomes manageable with time, practice, and perspective. The first key to bouncing back: reframe how you view failure. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? This small mental shift takes you out of victim mode and puts you in a position of power. Let's say you didn't get the job you applied for. Sure, it stings, but rather than fixating on rejection, use it as feedback. Maybe your resume needs tightening. Maybe your interview responses need more clarity. Maybe your network needs strengthening. With this mindset, you stop spinning in disappointment and start moving forward. Another helpful strategy: break the setback into manageable steps. When something big goes wrong, it can feel overwhelming. You might not know where to start, but just like climbing a mountain, you don't need to see the summit. You just need to take the next step. For example, if a student fails an important exam, they can pause, reflect, and take action. Review what went wrong. Identify gaps in understanding. Build a study plan to prepare for the next test. Each small step rebuilds confidence and momentum. The Stoics also reminded us to embrace patience. Seneca wrote, "Time heals what reason cannot." Sometimes the first thing you need to do after falling is to simply rest. Let yourself feel the disappointment, feel the frustration, and then choose not to stay there. Like a tree battered by wind, you might lose a few branches, but your roots grow deeper. You become more grounded, more unshakable. Here's a practical exercise. The next time you face a setback, take a few moments to write down: 1. 3 lessons you learned from the experience. 2. 1 small positive action you can take to move forward. For example, setback: missed a deadline at work. Lessons: need better time management, clearer team communication, and earlier problem spotting. Action: create a project schedule with specific check-ins and reminders. Resilience also requires self-compassion. You will mess up. That's part of the journey. But beating yourself up doesn't help you grow. Instead, speak to yourself like you would to a close friend. You did your best. What can we do better next time? Think of resilience like forging steel. It's only through intense heat and pressure that steel becomes stronger. Your setbacks are the fire. Your mindset is the forge. And your response is what shapes you into the version of yourself you're meant to become. So the next time life pushes you down, pause and remind yourself, this is my moment to grow. I will rise, learn, and keep moving forward. Because every setback isn't the end. It's the start of a stronger you. Final reflection: reinvention begins with small, consistent habits. Reinvention doesn't happen overnight. It's not a sudden leap. It's a slow, steady transformation. The Stoics understood that real change starts from within. It's not about chasing perfection. It's about building small, intentional habits, ones that align with your values, goals, and inner strength. The habits we've explored together aren't just tips. They're tools for a meaningful life. Starting small, mastering your mindset, embracing change, saying no, bouncing back stronger. Each habit is a stepping stone, a daily practice that shapes not only your actions, but your identity. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By adopting Stoic habits, you're not just changing your routine, you're upgrading your inner world. You're rewriting how you face fear, failure, and change. So as you look ahead to 2025, ask yourself, what habit can I build today to create the life I want tomorrow? Start small. Stay consistent. Trust the process. Reinvention is not a destination, it's a journey. And with these Stoic principles as your compass, there's no limit to how far you can go. Thank you for joining me today. If these ideas resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on which habit you're ready to embrace. Share your thoughts in the comments or with someone who's also striving to grow. Let's make 2025 a year of clarity, resilience, and meaningful transformation. Until next time, keep growing, stay resilient, live with intention. You've got this.